A few years ago, Marvel made the decision to announce that Bobby Drake, Iceman, was gay. And they did it in probably the most awkward way possible, and then seemed to get very surprised when fans turned on it. Why'd they do it this way? Was there a way to salvage it? The answer is yes. There is definitely a way to do this in a way that wouldn't have caused such craziness. And let's talk about it. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. This is one of those cases where there's going to be some people who disagree with what I'm about to say, and that's fine. But I try and look at this from almost a common sense perspective, if you could. Don't worry about kind of your own personal kind of ideologies or feelings. And this is just we're talking kind of logic, kind of business logic, and that's around Iceman. Now, you may like or hate the idea of Iceman being revealed to be gay. But regardless of whether you thought that was a good move, a good move done poorly, I think you can. Well, I think you can pretty much agree on that last one. Whether or not you believe it's a good move or a bad move, I think you can agree it was done poorly. The problem started when this character was rolled out as being gay, not with the current Iceman, but at the time the original X-Men, when they were kind of kids, were brought forward into the present by the Beast as a way to kind of teach Cyclops he was a dummy head. And then after having adventures for a while with one camp and then going and joining Cyclops in a different camp, Jean Grey, young Jean Grey, basically reads Bobby's mind and comes out with you're actually gay. Why don't you say anything? Why don't you get out of the closet and be straight? And it was just handled in the worst possible way. Nobody liked it, in the sense that when I say nobody, there's always somebody. But people who are not into Iceman being gay thought this was a really lousy way to reveal it. People who were gay were looking for representation in comics didn't love the idea of Jean Grey basically going in there and outing him psychically. And so it felt bad kind of from the very beginning. And then the other thing that it did was Marvel started to kind of defend the move. And they defended the move in many cases by saying, what are you, homophobic? As opposed to saying, hey, we want to do something new with the character. And this was a fail on kind of two different fronts. First, whether or not you believed in this move and you wanted to be gay or not, you can't say you were surprised by the fact that a lot of long-term comic book fans who may have, enjoyed or read this character for 40 plus years, why they would be a little bit surprised by the idea. And so Marvel tried to do a bunch of stuff with the signs were always there, which is kind of a creepy way. If you have friends who are gay, I have friends who are gay, they don't want, if one of them comes out to you, or comes out to the group, and they basically, even if you suspected that they were gay, they don't tend to like it if you go, the signs were always there that you were gay. That, nobody wants to hear that. Least of all the person who's gay. They don't want to. It sounds creepy when you say it like that. And so that is a defense of the signs are always there. It not only did it feel off-putting to people maybe who were gay, but also felt like a weird kind of cover up after the scenes with people who are long-term comic fans. It was a bad reason. And then the surprise, we didn't realize that there would be a bunch of angry, bigoted trolls coming out of the woodwork. It's like you went to that label really quickly, and you can't have been surprised. Again, you have a character who's existed for a long time, and then suddenly we do something major to his status quo. And in fact, in the solicitations, you knew what you were doing because you said a shocking status quo change for one of our characters. It's like, okay, the word shocking there, which you used, Marvel, tends to, it indicates a little bit that you knew what you were up to. This isn't a surprise. The other thing it did, and I heard this from several gay customers and friends, is it turned them off, because what it felt like Marvel was doing was saying, all right, we want to have some gay representation in our comics. What character can we pick who, we can basically is expendable? We want somebody who's meaningful. We don't want to, we had North Star, but nobody cares about North Star. He's Alpha Flight. Nobody cares about Canadians. We want to have a character who's one of the major characters. But which one would it? Which one could we get away with? It's kind of the way. That's how it felt. It felt like which one is the one that if it goes really wrong, we can just stop writing that character for a while. I mean, God, we can't make him Cyclops. I mean, he likes redheads. We can't make him Cyclops. We can't have him. We can't have him be Beast because he's a furry. That would raise too many weird questions. And Angel's had too many relationships, and plus a little bit too on the nose that you have like a high flying angel. I mean, that's not going to work. And you can't make Wolverine. I mean, people buy Wolverine. We can't make Wolverine gay. I mean, that's crazy talk. We can't do that. And Colossus, I don't know, the Steel Russian. Let's do that. We'll do that over in the Ultimate line. See if it's that didn't really take over there. So, who else could we? It basically felt extremely cynical. It felt like somebody sat around a spreadsheet of the X-Men and were like, well, what about Gambit? We could do Gambit. It's going to piss off the Gambit Rogue shippers, and I don't know. We got to pick out. It just felt extremely cynical. That's the problem with it. And so nobody really was happy with this. And so they then doubled down. Bendis like, no, we're going to finally resolve if maybe this is just young Iceman's gay, but modern continuity Iceman is not gay. And so then they had this really awkward conversation with young Iceman to older Iceman, going, I wish I was brave like you. You kids are brave, not like us dumb adults who aren't brave. And again, it felt like just the weirdest possible writing. And the reality is this, and this is where it definitely made some people disagree with. I think there's ample characters in the Marvel universe who can be gay. And who've appeared either as straight or nothing, meaning they haven't really touched on their relationships at all. And you could have them be gay. You could have them decide, that they realize they're living a life, all that kind of stuff. You could do it with good writing. And I would go even further to say you could have had Iceman be gay still. You could have had Iceman be bi. I don't know why. I mean, that seemed like the obvious answer right there on the table for you. If you wanted to, lean into some of the things that, these little mysteries, we knew all along stuff, but still not kind of, retcon a bunch of relationships that he had. You could have had him be bi. That's a legitimate thing that you could have done. There are people who are bi out there. I mean, I don't know. Seems like that would have been an obvious one, but what do I know? But there were a lot of ways you could have handled this. You could have also made Bobby gay. You could have, but the way they did it was it was like a Joss Whedon episode of somebody who was not gay, doesn't really, it wants to kind of be able to put a label of, I got one of the major characters gay on their resume, but not actually, have it mean anything. That's how it came across. And then I'll go even further. I recently was having a conversation with somebody who is a great conversation, and pointed out that you gotta kind of feel for Sina Grace, because he came in during the dumpster fire era of the X-Men. I mean, think about this for a second. So you have Bendis has just left the X-Men. It didn't go great. It wasn't like the Avengers Bendis, where there was a lot of real excitement and everything else. It wasn't like that. You've got Marvel still pushing the Inhumans because they really want that to work. They've just relaunched all the X-Men titles with X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue and X-Men Red. Red came a little later, but you had those books come out. And we're going to give Sina Grace Iceman, a character whose outing was probably one of the worst. I mean, it just not good. I mean, what's funny is, if you read comics handling gay characters in the 90s, North Stars coming out was him like flying, extreme kind of 90s art, and him kind of flying out of the sky like, I am gay. And it is like, I mean, I remember I had a shop, and a guy who was gay worked for me, and he was one of the best employees I ever had. I remember him looking at this going, what the hell is this? Like, yikes. I nobody wants this. I mean, just laughing, just laughing their ass off. Anyway, But so Sina Grace comes in to write this series. Meanwhile, over in X-Men Gold, they get anti-Semite writing in the hidden messages in the comic. The editor gets fired for the X-Men line, and you meanwhile you've got Sina Grace over here, um, hired to do Iceman, which has never sold well. In straight gay, any version of Iceman has never sold particularly well. He's having to pick this thing up, and they're like, okay, we want you to, because Sina Grace, again, people like to bag on him. If you read his work, non-Marvel, but his indie work, it was decently constructed, good work. I mean, it may not be what you like or not like, but it told a coherent story. It had structure to it. It told a good story. um, but this Iceman book was like, I mean, there's literally, I can't think of, there's probably, even coming in after Chuck Austin would be a better time for you as a writer than what you got. So I just find it, so Iceman is just, I mean, I find the whole thing very, it's funny now, funny in a painful way, how much of a train wreck all of this stuff was. And it just speaks to the idea that, this is like a textbook case of how to screw things up. It did not work. It didn't take, and I think this is something the X-Men universe just kind of has to live with. Gary Duggan's trying to make some sense of it over Marauders, but not really. I mean, even there, it's like you just want to. You want what I think they probably want at Marvel is you just want to wipe the slate clean and start over. But they know if they do that, then they're going to get a bunch of bleeding cool, run the articles about erasure and all the rest of that stuff. But you kind of, as an X-Men fan, you want them to just kind of erase this and start over. Like maybe go ahead and let's try it with Gambit for a while. Why not? Why not? Let's get a different writer in here and let's let's try this one again. It's a shame. But anyway, what about you? What do you think about this whole thing? I mean, there's been so many videos, so many articles about Iceman and gay, not gay. So I don't need to retread all that territory all over again. But would love to know your thoughts on my theories here. Anyway, I think it can be done. It just you step back and look at it kind of critically, and yikes! I mean, just the amount of things working against that whole plan, just amazing if you think about it. Anyway, hey, like, subscribe, click the bell for notification, all that kind of stuff if you want. Yeah, likes and notifications, following on Twitter and Facebook at Comic Perch. Hey, you know what? I think that comics, I like to have a lot of different characters, a lot of different angles, a lot of different things going on. So I would welcome a great, well-written gay character. I've done other videos of this. I think Wiccan and Hulkling, I think Midnighter and Apollo, in terms of the big two, great. I think those relationships, those characters work out great. I'm all for it. Let's do more. But, not like Iceman. Thanks for listening.